But then I get this mad FOMO and I go out and my body, it's like I can almost feel it being like, please stop.
You're alone again. I shouldn't be thinking of you, thinking of me. I know.
Greetings, everyone. This is Mike, and this is the Daily Bread, Weekly Bread podcast, where I talk to you, and I sit on my couch, and then I put this on the internet. Yeah, that's what I do. Today, I was trying to think about what to talk about, and I saw this ad that really caught my attention the other day, and it was like very, I can't want to say subtle, but they were selling this product, and the idea is like on this positive note, but like it really made you fucking sit back and think about it. And so before I get into that, you should go check out my new book. You like that little segue there? Like that? Go check out my new book, yourdailybread.com. It's the couples checklist, $15, free shipping, and it's for couples to see how well they know each other. And you should check it out. It was actually, and when I saw this product, it kind of reminded me of the book, because the book it's subtle and it's fun and fucked up, but it also when I really dissect it, there's a lot going on there, and it really opens up a big conversation or makes you think. So when I saw this ad, it's basically this calendar. It's not even a calendar. It's like a giant poster, and I think it's like it's based on how many days you've lived or how many days you potentially could have on this planet. And I think it's like 36,500 days, right? So 100 years times 365 days. And actually, yeah, I think that's the math is correct on that. So basically, what it is, it's this poster that has 36,500 boxes on it, and when you buy it, it comes pre-filled in with how many days you've lived. So you see how many days you've spent, and then you see in front of you how many days you could potentially have left if you live to be 100. And which is kind of cool. So the idea is that it's visually you're seeing, and then every day that you live, you wake up and you color in a box. And then the one thing they said in the ad, they're like, yeah, it's you can see it in a very positive way. You can also see it as a very dark thing, because you can just sit there and go, which box is going to be the last one that I fill out? And that shit hit me so fucking hard. Like, I couldn't even watch the ad anymore, because it's like, I can't imagine having that in front of you, where it's like you literally have a visual in front of you of one of those things is going to be like the day you die. And I never really thought about this stuff when I was younger, but now that I'm older, like my little sister months ago asked me, and she's like, what's it like getting older? I was like, well, you think about death a lot. And you kind of do. Like, you don't think about dying. You just think about, like, you kind of you put in perspective. So if you're 40, you think, well, maybe I have 60 years left if things go well. But then also when you hit 80, you could start just being decrepit, and you have 20 years of just being old, which sounds like, I don't know, pretty awful if you aren't very healthy and you have 20 years of just kind of coasting by and not really being able to do much. So that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So these are like the things you think about. So you try to value the time that you have now and really live in the moment as much as you can, and just not do things based on the fact that you're like, well, what's the point in doing and stressing out about this or doing this stupid activity that I don't want to do? And I talked to my buddy months ago about this, and I was like, you're really into health and fitness, but at the end of the day, man, you're just going to die. And not like saying that he's wrong, and I think it's good to be healthy if you can, and if your mindset's in it. And he's just like, yeah, I want to just live that way. So he likes it. He's like, it's almost like a high for him to live so healthy. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, man, but anyone on this planet, like one day it just lights out. And so it's like, if you hate going to the gym It's like I don't want to be an advocate for people not going to the gym. I mean, I would love to be in way more shape, and I would love to be healthier than I am. But there's also this, like, I could kind of like commit to and really, not I could, but if I really fucking want to, I think if anyone wanted to and they were big into drinking, they could stop and then they live the rest of their lives just not drinking or eating shitty food or just doing just doing more healthy things. Like instead of on the weekends of going out and with your friends and going around the town or wherever it is and meeting up with people and having a good time, some people just go, yeah, I go and hike all the time, and that's their life. And maybe that's great for them, but I don't know. It's just it's like there's these times where you have a night and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I ate so shitty and I drank way too much or I just did stupid things and I feel like crap today because of it. So I want to have a fresh start and not feel that way anymore. But then like every Monday where I'm recording this now, like every Monday I just don't drink and I have a healthy day. And I feel so good on Tuesday because I sleep so great and I wake up and I don't feel so bloated from eating such shitty food and drinking beer. By the time like midday Tuesday comes around, I'm like, man, like I'm a single guy. I don't really want to be hanging out by myself in my apartment. So I'll be like, maybe I'll go get a beer somewhere, but I'll eat healthy tonight. And then Wednesday I'll do the same. And then by the time like Friday comes around, it's just like game on. And every decision I make is just awful. So by the time Wednesday morning comes around, I'm just like, man, I should really fucking relax today. But then I get this mad FOMO and I go out and my body, it's like I can almost feel it being like, please stop. Please stop doing this. But like to kind of go back to this poster thing where it shows you how many days you have left, it's like I do that because I'm like, well, I don't want to, like I want to go experience things. I don't want to sit around and just safely be inside and live very, I don't know, like healthy or cut things out of my life where it's like, okay, so if I stay home and do this, then all I'm experiencing is this small box that I'm in and keeping myself busy with whatever activity like reading or watching TV or listening to music or maybe creating some stuff. But like to me that just doesn't seem exciting. So it's like I'm almost like kind of mad, right? It's like I get such enjoyment about going out and be with my friends. Like I literally get the endorphin high and or the dopamine, whatever it is, that like I love being around people and talking and laughing. It's like a blast. But then and I see other people, they're also enjoying themselves and they're probably drinking and eating shitty food, but it doesn't affect them and maybe it's not making them feel like such shit the next day. And I just feel like I'm destroyed. So then again, going back to this calendar, it's like looking all those, if I had this in front of me and I'm looking at these boxes, like would it change my perception about what I'm doing? Or would I go harder? Because I'm like, well, these boxes are starting it's starting to get shorter with the unfilled boxes and then the filled in boxes. So I mean that's like my perspective. But then I could talk to someone like I have friends online that are really big into fitness and I bet if they saw this, they would think of like how many events can I train for and cram into that time, right? Because they like live for that shit. So their mentality is they get a high from working out or going on long runs or doing some healthier like rock climbing, like whatever the activity is, that's their thing. And so the way that I see the things that make me happy is like that's the way that I feel about the things that make me happy. Like they get that feeling from the things that they do. And they look at what I do and they're probably like, man, that looks awful. And I'm looking at what they do and thinking the same thing. But at the end of the day, I think we're both on the same page that, yeah, like I would love to not feel so embarrassed, I guess, if I go to the beach and I've just made bad decisions for an entire year and then the summer comes and people are like, let's go to the beach. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. Like, I really don't want to be walking around with my shirt off. Like, I don't really want people to just physically see the bad choices I've made. And I don't know, it's like just embedded in me. I think just because I've talked this before, when I was younger, I was like a chubby kid, and it just stays with you. Just like growing up and having a pool, and like everyone else around you is skinny and you're like the fat kid, and you're just so embarrassed about being in a bathing suit, right? And that just then I had a time in my life where I was really skinny, and then when I quit drinking a couple years ago for about 5 months, I got in really good shape, and it was like I have a picture. I took a picture at that time, and it's like me with my shirt off, just to kind of keep a record of, wow, this actually happened. And I'll look back at it sometimes and be like, man, the thing it took me to get that though was I had to just give up the things that I like doing to get there. And when I was there, it didn't feel like it was. I wouldn't say it wasn't worth it. It wasn't constant. It's like you're just doing these things just to look a certain way, which seems stupid to me. So it's like I don't want to give up things just to be like, whoa, look, I look this way, and everyone's like, and maybe no one cares, right? So then it's like the battle that I have. It's like, well, why do I care if other people might not care? So, so it's like, then how do I want to live those all those boxes on that poster? And I wonder if like people are actually listening to this, they're gonna get hit with an ad because I'm talking about this, because your phones just listen to everything and just shoot Facebook ads in front of you. Like I've thought about things sometimes. I've woken up and Instagram is giving me an ad for that exact thing. I'm like, that's weird, man. Like that shit is so weird. It's almost like the algorithm is so good that it knows your next steps in general. It's like it's formulated every single move that you've made, where it's like we know them so well that they're probably thinking this right now, and we're gonna, so now we got to find an ad for that. Like I wonder if that's just how sophisticated these algorithms are. Um, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not like a conspiracy guy, even though sometimes it sounds like intriguing. Like I saw this documentary one time, I'm jumping all over the place here, but there was this documentary I saw one time about like how JFK died, and there's a theory that it was just a Secret Service guy who the car they hit a bump and he fell backwards and the gun just shot and got Kennedy in the back of the head. And when they went through the whole documentary, it made so much sense. It's like, damn, it's the way that they presented it. It was like, this is pretty valid. And so they covered it up because they're like, well, we basically just killed the president based on an accident and stupidity. So we need to make this look way bigger, because if people found out that was the real story, then we'd be fucked. So it's definitely, I think it was on YouTube where I saw that. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't see myself buying this poster, but it definitely stays. It's stayed with me since I saw it. And it's funny too, because like I don't know what I'm gonna name this episode, because I don't want to be like death calendar, because then people are gonna think I'm like suicidal or something. Like I'm trying to figure out what is the appropriate title for this, where like I know that my family sees me post this stuff, and I don't want them to be like, "Are you okay?" It's like, yeah, I'm fine. I just think about this shit because why not? It's like all we got. It's like here's another thing too. If you ever just try to think about, I did this when I was younger, and I always do it sometimes, and it freaks me the fuck out. Like try to imagine what infinity is like, where like you everything is just always is, and there's no end. And just think about that. And there's a point when you're thinking about it and your brain just can't compute, there's no end, and it starts to really freak you out. And I did to myself the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I hate when I do this. And I think I think the way that I thought about that when I was younger, because I grew up Catholic and I went to CCD, which is the fucking worst. And I think they were talking about infinity. And then I remember, when you take like a mirror and put it behind you, and then it just goes on forever and just never stops. Of like a mirror behind you, in front of you, meaning. So like in that space visually, it goes on. It never stops. And I think I did that one time, and I was thinking about the whatever we were talking about in CCD, and like infinity came up because it was visually in front of me, and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh my God, my brain can't handle this. I might have been, I think I was like 8 or something at the time, so it was kind of creeps into my brain here and there, and it just totally fucking freaks me out. So that's a fun thing to not do. And yeah, so hopefully you won't get targeted with one of these ads. If you do, you should definitely message me on Instagram and say like, yeah, I totally got hit with that ad because you talked about it and my phone listened. Um, but yeah, man, think about how you're gonna live those days. How you're gonna do it, and what's worth it to you or what's not worth it. And if you're maybe, I don't know, it's like I kind of think that people who are in a shitty relationship that are listening to this, that might be the thing where they're like, man, that made me really reassess what I'm doing right now. Because if you're like just miserable and living your life out just for whatever reason, being just having everything suck all the time, it's like, why would you do that? Why, if you only have X amount of boxes left, why would that, because with that day you die, if you have a chance, if there is an afterlife and get a chance to think about things, and you just sit there and be like, what the fuck did I waste that time for? So everything always goes back to relationships with me. So they freak me out. I never want to get stuck in the wrong one. That's how I started doing this. I didn't start doing this podcast because of that, but that seems to be my mission statement of never being unhappy again in a relationship. So that's my podcast episode. You should go check out my book, The Couples Checklist. It's on yourdailybred.com, BRED. You should go buy a copy. You should buy it for a friend who's getting married, and buy a lot of them for other friends who are getting married. And I think that's all I want to talk about. All right, goodbye.